What?
It's time now for My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dale's Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.
Hi, this is My Two Favorite Librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
I'm Chantel Taylor, and today we're talking about
books set somewhere you'd like to visit in 2021, except that we're not going to be able to travel in 2021.
And I actually don't want to travel because it's going to be worse.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like, you know, books are for traveling when you have to stay put.
But Corona makes me never want to travel. I mean, Corona does, it's not that I don't want to travel, it's just that I don't want to go to the airport.
Oh, I know, right?
Because it's going to be so much worse.
Yes. No, this is a fantasy travel because I don't think we're going to be able to travel for a while.
Okay.
I would like to be able to go someplace, though, other than this county. I like this county, but the fact that we can never leave is very disconcerting. So I have been fantasizing about the south of France. I know you have heard this because I've been talking about traveling there when we're allowed to travel again. So I was looking for some books about the south of France. I was also thinking about Australia.
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Well, first of all, the flight is like 40 hours and it's over $2,000 and that's a cheap seat. So I don't really know that I'm ever going to be able to make it to Australia.
Australia to me is basically Jurassic Park. I don't know how I would even survive there. Because even in your hotel, things could eat you.
You have to like check your boots before you put them on because there's like some deadly spider that likes the dark.
There's more than one, I'm sure. Snakes.
Yes. There are a lot of things.
Kangaroos.
There are a lot of things in Australia trying to kill you.
Very hilarious video before Christmas of a man rescuing his dog from a kangaroo. And this kangaroo basically had his dog in a headlock. And he ran over to the kangaroo. And the kangaroo, like, put its fists up. And the guy, like, punched him in the face while the dog ran away. And the kangaroo was just like, I can't believe he just did that. Like, it just stood there stunned looking at him for a few minutes.
Kangaroos, though, are
mean.
If they get you with their back legs, they have sharp, sharp claws.
I'm pretty sure it looked like it was going to go with its front paws. And it probably could have done some damage for me.
Yeah.
Also, hilarious video of a koala getting into someone's house at Christmas in their tree. They were not, I'm assuming they don't have evergreen in Australia, but they had a Christmas like evergreen tree, and it was not pleased when it was being removed from that tree. The growling out of that koala.
Yes.
Even the cute things are terrifying.
Well, koalas can be really bitey if they don't get their
food.
Yeah. So, yeah, Australia. I wanted to go to Australia since I was a kid because I was watching this soap opera. My mom used to watch this soap opera called A Country Practice, which is in Australia. And so at that time, I was like, oh, I want to go to Australia. And then as I grew up and started reading about Australia, I was like, oh, everything's going to kill me. Yay. But I still kind of want to go and see. It's a huge country, so I'd only really see a piece of it. I read a book by Thomas Keneally called The Commonwealth of Thieves, The Improbable Birth of Australia. I am surprised that that country turned out the way it did at all, because this book, starting in 1786, when England decides that they're going to ship their prisoners to Australia and just not deal with them anymore, which at the time Australia was known as New South Wales. So they're putting these prisoners on ships and sending them off to New South Wales. They don't give them enough food. Ships go down. When people get there, there's not enough food.
Things are trying to eat them.
Things are trying to eat them. The seeds and stuff that they sent for them to be able to plant food and feed themselves don't work in that climate. The animals they sent with them to have, like, because they're establishing a colony, the animals don't
Because things would eat them.
Yes. Well, and they also aren't acclimatized to the climate there, so they die. Like, there's not enough building materials. The indigenous population of Australia was not particularly happy to see these European settlers. Surprise. So I am shocked that there is a population of European settlers in Australia. I'm surprised that any of them made it through. So I've decided instead I'm going to read In a Sunburnt Country by Bill Bryson to offset the Keneally book.
That was on my list of books that did not make me want to travel. I don't want any book with sunburn in the title. Not interested.
Well, the one thing about Bryson is that he makes even the most dangerous things seem cheerful.
No.
So I have that book. I've borrowed it. I haven't had a chance to start reading it yet. Where are you going to go? Nowhere.
Nowhere. I'm not going anywhere. So when I was researching for this list, I found a list of books, and what they made me was never want to travel. And I'm really cranky with this list because it's like, Anne Frank is on this list. And I thought, yeah, that doesn't make me want to go to Amsterdam.
No, it's very sad and terrible thing that happened to that young woman.
Now, would I go to the Anne Frank Museum if I was in Amsterdam? Absolutely.
And cry.
Yeah. But that's not a contributing, it's not like, oh, I've read the Diary of Anne Frank, I must go to Amsterdam. Gorillas in the Mist does not make me want to go to Rwanda.
I don't want to hang out with gorillas.
Whatever that book was where the guy lived in a van and got eaten by a bear, I don't want to go to Alaska.
I think that one was called Into the Wild.
Okay, because I was thinking Wild was Into the Wild, because there's another book that doesn't make me want to, go anywhere.
Oh, Wild. The one where she hikes the...
Yeah, where she's completely unprepared to hike a trail and should have died and been eaten by a bear, but somehow survived and was able to write a book so other idiots will follow her unprepared to trek down this, trail.
You could read Bill Bryson's version of that, where he and his friend, cousin, brother, he and another person travel the Appalachian Trail.
No.
They almost get eaten by a bear.
It's also Appalachian.
Fine, be that way.
No. I actually was looking at it. I was reading some sort of article and they were arguing about it. And I went on and looked it up. And the woman from Appalachia said, if you're saying it the other way, you're basically disrespecting everyone that lives there. That is the way they pronounce it. Appalachia.
Alrighty then.
They're cranky.
You're cranky.
I'm just telling you, if you're going to the Appalachian, don't say it like that. Appalachian.
Moving on. So I looked up books about the south of France because books about Australia made me think that everything was going to eat me. And then all of the books about the south of France are romances. And I'm not a huge romance reader. Mm-hmm. Or they're mysteries. So
there has to be some book like that Tuscany book where somebody threw off their life and went to.
There's A Year in Provence. But I want fiction.
There has to be something.
I did put a hold on Death in Provence by Serena Kent. She's an English, the main character is an English expat who buys an old farmhouse in Saint-Merlot, which I'm pretty sure is not a real place, but it's in Provence in this book. And she does it to get away from her ex-husband, but then a dead body turns up in her pool. Because this is what it's like. It's like romance or dead bodies.
That's one of the good things about going to Paris is there's lots of amazing books.
Ton of books about Paris.
Because I'm trying to figure out when we went to Paris the last time. Because basically, I just want to go for food. So when I read Eat, Pray, Love, I wanted to eat. I didn't want to go any of those other places. Italy, yes. Everywhere else, no. I'm not even sure where Love was. Pray was in India.
Yeah, I never read that book, so.
I only read Italy. There was a book that I can't think of the name of. I actually bought a copy of it. I loved it so much. And she moved to Paris for a job. And it's hard once you're, like, when you're a tourist, they're fairly nice to you there. But once they figure out you live there, then they expect you to act like a Parisian. And it's hard to make friends there. They're fairly insular. It takes a long time. Like, you tend to hang out with your work colleagues sometimes, or, you go to a yarn group and then suddenly it's hard as an adult to find friends. But she just talked about, like, everything she ate. So there's, like, a day in Paris where it's like macaron day, and all the macarons are half price, and you can go to all the different stores. And she took one of those little bikes that you can rent, and she went all over the city
eating macaron,
like getting packages of macaron and taking them. And I was like, I want to be there on macaron day. I would, like, some of the places we visited was because I read about it in that book.
There was really good food in Paris and excellent wine.
And in Italy, even though I haven't been there.
I had some very good food in Italy. I had some excellent wine in Italy as well. But I did prefer Paris. I realize Paris is a city. Italy is a country. Yes, I do understand. I went to 3 places in Italy over the course of 2 weeks. I know we've talked about this before. I want to travel again.
I don't.
So now I'm going to read books about traveling because that's all I have.
Now, you could read some more Ice Planet Barbarians. That's a travel for you?
No, I'm not. I don't wish to travel to the ice planet.
Come on.
No.
With their fur and their leather pants? Come on.
Now, you've heard us talk about Ice Planet Barbarians
They haven't
before.
perhaps heard us talk about, because we did it on Facebook.
Oh.
So Denise and I did a challenge in the summer where we both read, well, I read book 1, she read book 2 of a series, and it's called Ice Planet Barbarians by, I think it's Ruby Dixon.
And the whole series is on, or the majority of the series is on
Hoopla.
Which you can access for free with your library card, and you can borrow books, ebooks, audiobooks, TV shows, movies, and music. It's got a lot of stuff.
It does.
And we increased the loan limit, so now you can borrow 10 items a month. You could read a lot of Ice Planet Barbarians. I'm not going to read any more of them.
So in the series, this group of women is kidnapped by aliens, by bad aliens. You can't see my quoting marks. And something happens to the ship, and they have to jettison their cargo, which is the women, and they end up on the ice planet where they meet the nice aliens. And they, of course, it's a romance. So, of course, they have to, like, pair up with all of these.
It's a smutty romance.
Yeah.
There is a lot of smuttiness. Do not read that if you do not want smuttiness.
Yes, and also the first book was, like, the kidnapping. There was a sexual assault, not by the good aliens, by the bad aliens. So it was a bit...
The good aliens are like 7 feet tall and blue and have horns.
Yeah, and other things that we can't say on the radio.
No, that is not a travel book.
Sure it is. It's intergalactic travel. Some people want to do that.
That is science fiction.
The moon is safer to go to than any place else in the world right now.
Maybe they brought coronavirus to the ice planet.
It was pre-corona.
What are you reading right now? Is it Ice Planet Barbarians?
It is not Ice Planet Barbarians. So, my first book of the year was Fortune and Glory by Janet Ivanovich. I despised it.
Which is sad.
It was. I was very cranky about it. So I needed something to cheer me up a little bit. So one of my reading challenges for this year in January is to read a favorite from 2020. So I am listening to Solace by Gail Carriger, which I've read before. It's a historical romance, paranormal romance. I love it. It's very sweet. I love Alexis Terabody. She's preternatural. So when she touches supernatural, she makes them human again. It's kind of a steampunk. It takes place in Victorian England, and like the werewolves and the vampires and the witches are out. The public knows about them, and there's a bit of a mystery. I love it.
But you didn't talk about Fortune and Glory, other than to say you hated it.
I did not like it, and I will just leave it at that.
Okay, then. My last read of 2020 was Bird Box by Josh Mallerman. So you might have heard of the Netflix movie that they made. Sandra Bullock plays the main character. I did not watch the movie on Netflix. I'm positive you did not watch the movie on Netflix. I could not see you watching that movie. But I did read the book. One of our coworkers, Henrietta, really recommended that I read this book. And she and I have similar tastes in like horror novels. So I read it. It was interesting. In the book, Mallory is this young woman. She's trying to keep her children safe in a world where opening your eyes can lead to madness. So she is trying to take her children on a voyage to some place she thinks will be safe, but they have to do it completely blindfolded.
Much like Corona, nowhere is safe.
It is a stressful journey.
Yes, it is.
All right. So I should mention, if you are unable to come to the library for any reason, or you're just not comfortable coming into the library, we will mail items to your house for free. We will mail books, we will mail DVDs, we will mail magazines, we will mail jigsaw puzzles, basically anything that we can fit in a mailer bag. We will send to you absolutely free. You just need to contact us. If you call the Amherst Library at 902-667-2549, they'll be able to give you a hand, or you can find information on our website,
www.cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
And I know I already talked about Hoopla. We also have Overdrive, where you can borrow audiobooks and ebooks electronically. You can do that at home, sitting on your couch, in your PJs. And we have RB Digital, where you can borrow magazines.
Also for Hoopla, there's no waiting.
No.
With Overdrive, it's like a regular book. We have one copy of it. If 20 people want it, you've got to wait in line. With Hoopla,
there's no waiting.
There's no waiting, and we pay for what you borrow. So if you're looking try Hoopla and Overdrive.
Yeah. I usually look on both and see if the book I want to read depends on where it is. And if it's in both, then I'm going to go with Hoopla because I don't have to wait. What are we talking about next week, Chantal?
Next week, I'm very excited. We're talking all things Bridgerton.
Yeah, that will be exciting for you.
It will be, yeah. Better
right.
than traveling.
Traveling through time?
Yes. Except I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it next week. Yes, I would like to visit Bridgerton, England. But again, I'd probably be a scullery maid. I'd probably live next to the tanning factory.
We'll talk about it next week. Bye.
Bye.
My two favorite librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dales Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.